I wish you everyone wonderful day, wonderful morning, afternoon, wherever you are. I welcome you to our next interview today in a peace, in a really nice atmosphere because everything is set up. We have wonderful friend today from Norway, really very wonderful harpist and also very dedicated harp teacher who has actually established really the biggest harp society and harp school in the whole Scandinavia. So we will talk a lot about her, and I'm very, very thankful that she accepted my invitation, that she had time, and that we have wonderful connection, as you can see today, and that we have really wonderful time together now for one hour or even more or less, however you would like to. But I hope that we will have a lot of things to talk about, and I'm so looking forward for your comments as well. And I'm so welcoming today our wonderful harpist and wonderful friend, wonderful lady, WILLY POSTMA from Norway. Hello, WILLY.
Thank you, Jana. And by the way, I am Norwegian, but I'm born in Holland. So I'm raised there. I studied there, and I moved to Norway. And in Holland, there were no harpists in the 60s. So that meant that my teacher was Margot Flipse Broeders, and she and Via Berghout studied with Rosa Spier, the Dutch old lady who started a Dutch harp school, which meant a beautiful, warm sound. And also my teacher and Via did this the same. But my teacher got ill, and I was 18 when I started on the harp. Because before that, I was a pianist. So I started reading music when I was almost 15. And when I was 16, I went to the conservatory. When I was 70, I played Beethoven's second piano concerto. And then when I was 18, I started on the harp. And so the same year, I played the Mozart flute harp concerto, second movement, and the Weber Concertstück for the piano. So it was a mix. And my teacher got ill, and I got Edward Witzenberg a few lessons. I didn't practice, so he was not happy. So I practiced harp, not harp, but piano, 10 hours a day. And then my teacher retired, and they offered me the job in the Rotterdam Philharmonic. I was only 20, and I really couldn't do so many things. I wasn't good. I think today it would be impossible. But I played there half a year, and then I got offered a job in Trondheim in Norway. And that was for piano and harp. They had no harp, so I had to play all the harp parts on the piano 1 year. And then we got a harp. And I didn't fall in love with the harp before I got a daughter in 1966. And then suddenly I started practicing 4 hours every day. And so that's how I came to Norway. And there were no harpists at all. So we had only one man in the Oslo Philharmonic who did all the jobs. And then I decided one day I will start a harp school. And I did, 81, with Sitzel, as you know. Can I talk all the time? This is so
You can really speak all the time. I don't need even to ask anything. This is also interesting. I must tell you one secret thing. I got today a really beautiful letter by email by one of your former students, Sinset Waldstad. I don't know if I really pronounce his name correctly. I just wanted to mention him because it was so touching. He really admires you so much. And he was writing me many stories about you, how you were dedicated to all the students, how without you, they will not do what they are doing, that all your students are really in the main orchestras, that you were going by each of them to teach them privately and tune them harps, and that you were really absolutely amazing. So I just want to tell you,
it was difficult to start a music school in Norway because everywhere in the world it was like that. In the 16th, 17th, nobody could even play the Ravel Introduction Allegro. I mean, you had exceptions, but the harpboard was tiny, small, and we were a little afraid of each other, I think, and they were talking about schools and techniques, and today it's totally different. It's wonderful. But to start a harp class, I borrowed money, and I went to Paris and bought some small harps. I went to London and bought bigger harps, and I just lended all the money in the bank, and I did it for my own account, because the music school, they were so waiting, and I thought, time is going now. And Sitzel was waiting 3 years anyway. She was 6 when she went on stage and wanted to play the harp and asked me. And I said, play the piano, learn music, and we'll see. So it has been hard. And if I didn't have had the job in the symphony orchestra in Trondheim from 1964, and I could have afforded it to teach, because you get paid for 10 minutes, you drive 1 hour, you have to pay the gasoline, you have to pay the strings, you have to tune, and I've never been able to give a lesson short. It's like 1 hour is always going to be 3-4 hours until the student is fainting or get pale. So, and this has got later on, but that's about how I come to these harp congresses. In Holland, we were so few, and there was not a good connection between people. So my teacher told me, go to FIA. And FIA didn't want me because she said, you go to Margo. So, but she had all these Japanese students, but she had the harp weeks. So I went there in Kweekhoven in Breukelen several times, where I met all the people you know today. We are all old, and we had a lot of fun together. I mean, I remember being in Kweekhoven with Mireille Vloer. She was came in the middle of the night, full of papillons in her hair and a nightgown. You make so much noise, I can't sleep, because the young people were partying and have a lot of fun. So I made a lot of friends already there, and it was 69, 70, 72. A lot of pictures from there, and then it went to Rolduc in that was in Kerkrade in Holland, close to Maastricht. And I have beautiful pictures from there, also from Vera Dulova and Maria Kuczynska, of course Susan MacDonald. So we had a wonderful time there. And that went on in 1976. I was in Paris half a year to study with Pierre Jamet. And I ended up in Kerkrade playing, or it was in Maastricht, playing a new Norwegian composition. It was the first time that I commissioned a piece by a Norwegian composer. And I've done that for all congresses. So for the Congress in Vienna, I commissioned 2 pieces, one for flute harp, which was played on a new music concert, I think the 22nd or so. And then I had a recital. So and then Sitzel and I were playing Halvor Haug Dialogue, a beautiful piece specially written for us for Vienna. And I played some solo and something with flute harp also on that concert. I remember the pedal rod broke on the last chord. That was awful. So
you have really nice memories also on Vienna Congress. I know that your student Sincel, he wrote me that you were playing together. Unfortunately, I don't have that recording. I have the recording of your performance of the modern piece for flute and harp, which you mentioned as the first one. So this is the one which will be broadcast after our interview. But of course, the other, unfortunately, it's not recorded by me. So maybe it exists somewhere some recording. I don't know. But unfortunately, I cannot post it.
We have it on a CD, or we have it on the disc. Yes,
that's lovely.
It's a beautiful piece. Many students are playing it, or many professionals also are playing it today. So I came from France, where I went half a year with Pierre Jamet. That was very interesting because I visited him in Paris for lessons once a week. I mean, I was a professional. I had a job. I had been in Israel and get a prize in the competition. It's like I had to do that because I had no papers for my harp playing, just jobs. And I felt that I was missing so much. So I was also with Susan MacDonald in 72, 73 in New York. And there I played also for Grand Genie, and I got New York Harp Society, honest member, etc. And then with Pierre Jamet, I took really half a year off to learn a lot. So he learned me note by note the Forêt Impromptu, Châtelaine Ensemble, and Piano Impromptu, Caprice, and all this stuff. And I gave a recital actually in Garciles for It Is Home. then I had been, his student for 6 months. I had my baby with me. She was 1 year, Kari, who's now an opera singer. And I remember I played all these pieces learned by him with all the students around, with Americans and Japanese. And I had to teach all of them because he couldn't speak English. He only spoke French. So I had to translate and help them. And I fainted in the middle of the concert because it was so hot. And he came with a bowl, for a liter bowl, cognac in the bottom. Here, drink this. And I said, no, you can't drink when we play. But he said, yes, I always do this in the intermission of the concerts. So he took always small cognac in the middle of the concert. Yeah. But think of traveling with a baby and the baby wagon and 4 suitcases and a harp on the train all the way from Norway, several days and nights, and to Garciles, and then picked up by a camion at a train station. So the harp got lost on the way back on the train. I was going to Maastricht to play, and with the baby, and they had take it off the train and put bicycles on it. So they finally found it. So I had to stay in Paris for an extra night, and the French railway station, they paid it. I mean, I was so angry, so upset, traveling with my 1-year-old. Well, so we came to
nightmare. This is absolutely
Kerkrade with the harp and the baby, and Madame Dulova, she fell in love with my little girl, 1 year, Kari, and she learned to walk there. And now Oko Yoshino was there too. She was 7, and they were playing together, the kids. And Vera was playing with my kids, and with she told me, I wanted a baby, but my mother told me, no, you have your career. You cannot have a baby. So it's of course very sad. But I remember Vera, she was such a wonderful, warm person. So she played for me like all the cadences and talked, and we had so much fun. And I remember also she came to Bloomington 85 when you were there with your mother. I remember I saw you in Mrs. McDonald's house. You lived in the apartment up in the garage, so I met your mother. I think that was 85.
No. I was there for the first time for the first competition, which was 1989.
89. Okay, I thought it was 85. So it was 89. Then I was. It was at the first. No, I was there in 85 as well with Shalaxel. I brought my students. But that was maybe another course. Yes, it was. So it was 89.
89 was the first USA International, right?
Yeah.
It's so many harp events, and I know that you are really the very regular visitor and performer of any of these harp events. So you really went all over, and you met so many people, and all these memories are.
I did. But I remember that I picked up Madame Dulova, and her luggage didn't come, and she said, "Okay, we have to go shopping in Indiana." It was not easy to go shopping. So we went to the shopping mall, and she spent $50 because that was what she got from the insurance if your suitcase is 1 day late. I remember all kind of strange stories from that. But also the Maastricht was very special because we were staying in a cloister, is that the right name? And in the evening, we were taking a drink in the bar. It was in the basement, something very dark. And they call it the Lost Sun, the bar. And one evening, I was sitting there alone with Maria Kuczynska, and we were drinking, and Maria drank vodka a lot. And at 12 o'clock at night, suddenly, Fia stands in the opening, in the door, in her nightgown, and calls, Maria, go to bed immediately. So it was like a big family. But we had a lot of fun, yes. So I think I could write a book of all the stories because we were a small family. And then we went to Israel, which was also beautiful. I remember we had a fantastic recital with Judy Lohman, and we had also the memory harp, and I played that. I have to take some water. So
Okay.
so
No, but you should really write the book. That's something what you said now, but you should take it really like a serious
I think perhaps in my head when I start talking. So it's so funny. But also the memory harp was very interesting. But I wrote to the French government to get money to develop this computer harp. But he died before he could do anything with it. And also I remember we had one meeting, and there was a few people. It was still only like 70 and 19. It was not so very much. And then we had the tuner had been found up. And so many people were so happy. And then Fia said, "No tuners, it destroys your ear. You have to tune on ear." I thought, oh. So I raised and I said, "I think when you play an opera and you have a 10 minutes break and everyone is playing, it's nice to have a tuner." So but you are not supposed to tell your opinions. So she was a little angry. But a few weeks later, she sent me a beautiful brooch, and she sent me always gifts when she had been a little angry. It was very funny. Well, it was not my first time in Israel, because I was there 3 weeks for the competition in 1970. And I only went there. I saw the program like a few months before, and just about the deadline, and I just learned the program, went there, and I got a kind of exam. I didn't want to win a prize. I just wanted to learn the repertoire and to get a kind of paper that I really can play the harp. But I was never satisfied. So I continued taking lessons. So
with whom did you work before the competition? With whom did you work at that time?
I had no teacher.
No teacher. Okay.
No. So I remember Fia said, "Why didn't you tell me you should come?" Well, I didn't know. And I had no teacher, so I did do the whole program alone. Wow. I think that was not normal, but I had no teacher, because I had the teacher only a short time. And then I had Witzenberg a few times, and then I got a job. So that's after I got a job, several years after, I started to think I have to get better. And then I went to Susan McDonald, and Grange. I played for Grange, and I went to Charmé, and Nikana Zabaleta gave me some beautiful exercises, yoga exercises. So I got a lot of stuff. Where did I go? Well, Margot and Zabaleta, Grange, I had a lot of teachers for small time, but I think teaching. I told my students, don't go away for learning with other teachers for a short while. You don't learn so much. So when I went to a teacher, it was for one particular program, which I got solved. But the half year with Pierre Jamet, I learned a lot, because it was regular. It was every week. And that gave results. So I think when you go to a teacher, I think it should be some stable for a while. And the interesting thing is when you perform new music all the time, you speak to the conductors and to the composers, and you have to make the piece, because nobody else played it before. So it has not to be like this, because the rules are really earlier years. They had strict rules how to play. And it's not anymore today. Pierre Ricaudy told me when I played his sonata, and I asked him if it was okay and what he liked. And I said, "The baby is born. It's up to you to raise it." So, and a lot of composers have said the same to me. When I ask, "How should I play this?" "Well, it's yours. You have to make it." Very seldom that, I had one composer who wrote at least 7 pieces for me in quarter tone music, and 12-tone music. This is extremely difficult on the harp with all the pedals. So he was very strict about everything. I couldn't play that so often. I mean, so I don't know. I think I commissioned like 15 compositions. And
Wow.
I planned, so in Israel, I played Sonata Beck-Vandal. The first performance, I remember in Seattle, Tacoma, I played Magner Ohm Concerto with orchestra. And then, well, there are some, I don't remember.
But the piece which you played in Vienna, it was with the flutist. It's but Bertil Palmer Johansson. I had to write it there.
Well, it's very funny. Last week he sent me a new edition from the same piece, and he wanted to make it better, and it's more dull. So it's absolutely not better. So I don't know how to answer it. I hope he should see this.
That would be wonderful.
It's not better. It's more boring for the harp. Better for the flute, but boring for the harp. So
I see.
So I have to answer him, go through it, and give him marks. I think the sonata I played in Israel, I was working very close with the composer. So he lived in my home for 4 days, and we were working with his ideas. And then I gave my ideas about sound and how the harp, like not repeating notes so often and not too close, not the third in the middle. And so, yeah, so it is playable. And then after 4 days, he tells me, it was Krandal, he tells me, now I go home and compose the second part, which will be mine, not yours. So he think I made up too much. So, ask me something.
Yeah, just ask. I want to know the piece which you played in Vienna for this Trombert by Bertil Palmer Johansson. Yeah? It was a world premiere in Vienna, or have you played this piece before? Because you played.
No, all the pieces I played on the congresses were world premieres that never had been played before.
Wow. Okay.
So I got them specially written for the congresses.
I see. All right. Because this was performed, as, if I'm not wrong, with a Japanese flutist. So,
it was Japanese.
And how did you? She was from your orchestra, or how did you?
No, she was from Japan, but she had to play with somebody else, I think. So they hired her to play with me because my flute player couldn't go with me. It was written for me, and I had a regular flute player.
I see.
And who died. But we made a recording for the radio, so I have it recorded somewhere.
So you rehearsed only in Vienna, of course, with this Japanese.
Yeah, we rehearsed in Vienna. It was easy to go together. It was not like a huge musical piece.
Yeah.
But Vienna, we drove from Trondheim. You know, it's 2,300 kilometers. So we used 3 days and 3 nights, and I had 4 harps in the back of my van, a rental car. And I was driving and driving, so I had to pick up people at the airport. I have to drive harps to concerts. So I didn't get all the beautiful concerts with me. And I was at the airport to pick up Alfredo and all his harps and CDs and music, and the customs wouldn't let him go. So we were there for hours. I remember some nightmares of the Vienna streets. So before my concert for the new music, I was driving to the concert hall, and I took some mirrors of the cars in the street. So I had to park and give some money and some valuable things to come back to pick up, to do the makeup, because it was so bad. It was so difficult driving in Vienna.
I know.
Yeah, you know, yeah. But you were there. You and your mother were
my both parents were there, and that's why thanks to my father we have these videos. So that was the
unbelievable. But how you come on the idea to do this?
Well, it really came so spontaneous. It just really came so spontaneous because I just realized that if there is a time now to bring all these videos alive to the people, that they might be happy to see that as well. Because for me, it was really treasure to have that. And yeah, so I'm so glad that it makes happiness for the others. So
Yeah.
it's really from 1 minute, but I did not know how much work it is going to be.
So you have no time to practice at all.
Well, I try to do everything, but it's really not easy. But of course, mainly it makes me pleasure. So that's the main thing.
Well, it's kind of difficult this time. Just now, last week, I suddenly saw in the newspaper that I had a concert Wednesday. So a Saturday, I saw the announcement, and I thought, my God, this is cancelled. I thought it was cancelled, and then I see in the newspaper it is not cancelled. I thought, oh, I have to practice. What shall I do? I've been painting house because I bought an old school. So I have a lot of space to get students here, and like I can have 2, 3, 4 at a time. And then I got a message on Monday that it was cancelled. They forgot to tell me. So I really panicked. So what I say in these Corona times, practice and be prepared, because suddenly it's open and you have to play in like 50 or you can have 100 and then your concert is there. So I realized that I stopped practicing because I thought it is not going to be a concert. So
that's the thing, that we have the time where it's everything unsecured, and we have exactly what you said. It can be opened like this, and we have to be prepared indeed.
Yeah, you have to be prepared. There is something what is close to my heart, and that is the focus on youth. So I have been there in the committee for years, and that was such a pleasure. For me, teaching has been a big part of my life. And if I haven't had the orchestra job in Trondheim, I could never have done all this, because it gives no money, all the teaching by hour. Like you fly to Oslo, you teach, you get paid like 100 crowns or 200 or something, and you are away one whole day and night. There's nothing left. So you need a job for that. But what I did is I did a program I think it was in Dublin, Adopt a Student for the World Harp Congress. This really still exists. Adopt a student. I paid the journey from a girl from China, and I paid the participation of some students, and I did that several years. And we agreed that we should adopt a student. And many of the people who have jobs, they should pay the participation for the student. But I don't know if it still exists.
I don't know, but it's amazing idea. That's fantastic. I know that you were helping so much to young people everywhere. I know that, and you are really very big treasure for the harp world, for the young people.
Well, thank you. It's completely natural to do
We
this.
all know that, but the people should know it more. So it's really wonderful that you can talk about it, because you were really part of the World Harp Congresses a lot, and as you said, you were also in the committee of the Focus on News, which I think started only in Vienna. It was the first time when it started.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, but I was 9 times, I think, because I was in the board of directors for 9 years, and my last time was Vancouver. So I was very happy in Vancouver to be able to play the Rautavaara ballad with strings and with orchestra. I mean, and on the last night, that was really an honor. And well, I think I have followed all these congresses from the 60s and before the World Harp Congress and the harp weeks and the harp weekends, and I was everywhere to pick up new things and to pick up repertoire, learn. And I think we were earlier, the teachers did not agree. There was like French school, German school, Russian school, Dutch school, and they were fighting. And that's gone. So we have colleagues, we have friends, and we do things in another way. I do teach very individual. So I look at the body, the hands, how tall they are, how short they are, how they can sit behind the harp. So when I have 5 students and I let them play one spore or so, and it's different, everyone, because I try to have the personality there. And that's the same as what Pierre Hody said about playing new compositions. The baby is born, you have to raise it. And I think it's also with old people, that the personality who brings it in their way is so interesting, because if you want to hear the same, you can put on a recording. So also Handel wrote in one of his letters, I did read a book about his letters. And I'm sorry, I borrowed it away and I didn't get it back, and the lady died. So I cannot show it. Handel wrote, I want to hear my harp concerto, the concerto, the second movement in different way every time. He wrote it in a letter to a friend. I mean, composers do not always want the same for everybody.
Indeed.
And the same fingerings do not work for everybody either. So it's maybe I'm very busy with having these individual interpretations. It can be so exciting. But now one of my students, Uno, he won this beautiful prize for compositions in first a few years ago.
Uno.
The third prize in the Greek competition, and then now last year.
Uno,
yeah. And it was so wonderful. So I'm so happy he found his way, because he came to me when I was very small and wanted to be composer. And he was only 6. He brought a score. And then when I started in the State Academy of Music, I lost contact with him. So we started, and I thought, oh my God, this is a lot of work. So we worked very, very hard. I made a 5 years program for him. And he played the Mozart after 2. So he played all the pieces. But then I told him, maybe you should really be a composer and live from it. So he has not done anything else. And now he won the second prize in the United States.
He won the first prize.
Yeah,
he was the winner.
No, second. Yeah, last year, but this year, no.
Oh, I see. Oh, yeah. I see. Okay. Last year he was winner.
So Sasha was first prize with a composition, and Uno was second prize. So it's very wonderful. So not all harp students are going to be harpists, orchestra harpists. And I think most harpists learn to be solo harpists around the world. But I took, when I had students, when they were small, I let them play in the orchestra beside me. Sometimes we doubled apart. And then I was sitting on the outside. I let them play on the first harp place, so I could hear them. And I did, like Sitzel played La Mer when I was 14. She had to read everything about the piece, to know everything. And I let her play, and I took the difficult parts with my part. So I've tricked a lot. So I think most of my students have been beside me in the orchestra from 13, 14, 15. That's, of course, not allowed in huge orchestra, famous orchestras, but they were lucky. So all of them have got a job. And
that's fantastic. This experience you were giving to the young children or young musicians, this is something what it's really for the future, unrich, like this is such a rich for their future. It is fantastic that you could give this to them.
And when you play in an orchestra, you need to have a different sound, because you have to go through it.
Absolutely.
So most orchestra players are strong players, and so they have more to go. They can also play very strong in a pianissimo with the same way of playing a fortissimo, because they learn that the sound has to carry in the whole. So even if it is pianissimo, and they learn that a lot when you have an orchestra and you make colors. And so I think they have been lucky there. Yes.
Absolutely.
It would not be possible, like having 80 students in Bloomington and do them in an orchestra.
That's absolutely
the lucky ones.
But really, I think that also the background of yours, so that you were playing the piano, helps you a lot to have different vision of the harp playing as well, because it's so important that when you play a different instrument before, you think differently than when someone only wants to play the harp like like something what they hear or on, you know, on some kind of videos, and they think that it's easy. If you really have some kind of background like you had, it helps a lot.
Yeah, but at the same time, I see that people are grown up with the harps as small children. They have the pedals in an absolutely much more easy way than a pianist does. Because and now when I play in flats, that's okay. But when I have to play in sharps, 4 sharps, so at the piano, I'm thinking harp, so I'm turning around. So it's sometimes I play a lot on the piano since I moved. I bought an old school last year, so I'm having my big piano here and my harps, and I play every day. I play Beethoven or Grieg piano concerto or something, because I love to play the piano. It's so easy. You have to tune the harp and you have to put the strings on, and it's so I'm a little more lazy. But I stopped playing. I mean, when we should go to, I've been on all the congresses except Copenhagen only one day because I was on tour. I had a lot of concerts that year. And I couldn't go to Australia because then I had the youth orchestra, which I had for 23 years as instructor for the harp. So I did teach 23 years also at the State Academy of Music, and 30 years in Trondheim at the music school, and 8 years in Finland in the Sibelius Academy. So I have a lot of, and I gave master classes like all over Europe and Vancouver and Shanghai, and well, I don't know. It's so much. I must write it down if I shall remember it. So.
But it's really interesting that you come from Holland. Honestly, I know you so long time, really since 89. But I did not know that you are from Holland. For me, you are from Norway, and it looks like that you are really the harpist who just belongs to the Scandinavia. So it's very.
I did representative Norway. Yes, always. So sorry.
That's why. But do you have your family in Holland still, or are you coming back?
My sister, brother in Holland, yes, and one sister moved to Norway. So my family was in. My mother died last year, so she was 95. So she was in Holland. So, and my father died during a competition in the United States. I was in Bloomington, so I have to leave very soon. So it's all. And I had my harp with me. I remember once I met Susanne McDonald and Linda at the airport in Seattle, and I was carrying my harp because I had to play this Magnar on concerto with orchestra. First performance. I never performed anything before I came to the, and then I was carrying my harp. I was pushing that, and I had my suitcases, and I saw Susanne McDonald and Linda. Like I brought my harp everywhere. I took my harp to Israel. I took my harp to Holland, to France, and 4 harps to Vienna. And that was because Mr. Jim Munson was the harp doctor. He was fantastic with harp repair. So I thought, he is in Vienna. I'm going to take all my harps and the orchestra harp and to do them. And that was really worth it. So I drove with a van with 4 harps and my student, 14 years old, 2,300 kilometers and back all the way. And I think it was important for my students to go out. So I brought my students to Bloomington, to Holland, to Geneva, to Paris, to Dublin, because it is so important not to be alone in a country. So these congresses are really so much worth for the young people. But we had a lot of discussions because they are so very expensive. So we have talked about how to do it less expensive, to have cheaper to stay for the students. So we should help them a little more. And that's why I ask again, to adopt a student program. Did it stop? I think we should try to get that again.
Well, certainly the support for the student is very important, because if it's going, because the prices are still getting higher and higher at the Congress, it's really everybody has to pay their trips, they have to pay for the hotels as well, that it really a lot of money which not all the people can deserve and afford to do. And of course in these days when you have all the internet and everything, some people would just say it's not worth it for us to go because we can hear those people on the internet as well. So
yeah, it's not the same. No.
Absolutely not. But for the money, they can say in the past when there was no internet, it was all they would pay for everything to be able to meet those people and to hear them.
Yeah, so we should. I've also asked for recommendation letters for young gifted people to the government or to the schools where they study, so they can have help financially, because that's the biggest problem for the students, how to raise all the money to go to these congresses, because they really need it.
Absolutely.
And it really helps them, and it really gives results for young people. So I hope they can continue with it. I mean, I couldn't go in Hong Kong because my daughter got ill and she died 2 years ago. So I have had a hell of a time, and I wasn't able to play for 2 years. And so I moved. I sold my home. I sold my cabin. I bought a new house, which it's from 1904. So I'm working very hard to make this work, and I am playing again, and I'm going to give a recital again. And but I'm able is 78, so I'm not young, and so I'm working like hell to make it work. So, and students are welcome to my home to stay here once the border opens, and I think that will be quite soon.
I'm so sorry for your loss. I have not known.
Well, I can't talk about it. It's so hard.
I can imagine. I can imagine.
But that's the reason I couldn't go to Hong Kong. So I was already in the program, and I should play also a Norwegian piece. From Finland, but had the first prize in the Greek competition. So, but my student who is in the Oslo Philharmonic, Birgitte Woland, she went for me and played in Hong Kong. So I don't know about England next year, because I do have something. If it's going to be in August, it's not. Then all the youth orchestras are in August, so they need harpists, they need the teachers, and I think that could be a difficult time. This year I wasn't able to go because I was still just crying, but now it's going. I'm really fighting and do my best to go back to the harp. That's my great love.
And I'm sure that also thanks to our occupation, like the music, it can heal our pain more. More than
I got a lot of comfort in this. Yeah,
absolutely. And you are so dedicated teacher, really, to all of the students. And as I said at the beginning, really, even that one student, Sincel, who wrote me, and I'm sure that all of them, they love you so much. So you have such a big family and so many children in this way, because they really certainly are your supporter. And I know it's it's incredible to lose your own child. It's really something what is the most painful. So I don't want to talk about it because I don't want to bring you pain.
No, we shouldn't. It's just, you cannot describe what is going through a person when you lose a child. But you can also see that I've been fighting, and I have done everything I can. My whole life I've turned up down, and I'm starting over again. And I don't know for how long, because nobody knows when God is taking you. It can be a day, it can be 20 years. I mean, don't know. You can be 100, and that's not. You cannot go. You have to go.
So wonderful. You're very wonderful. You look all the time the same. I must tell you honestly, since I know you, you are all the same. You really did not change. It's really so really, absolutely. And I'm sure that many of you who know really already a long time can only agree with me. You really look incredibly beautiful, and I'm so happy that you are with us today. Willy, can you tell us from your teachers, as you said that you had really many of them, it's not that I will say that maybe, of course, you took maybe only a few lessons by each, but who you think gave you some kind of really transmission to love the harp the most?
Well, the transmission, I think Suzanne MacDonald gave already in Israel when she was in the judge and I was playing, and we got a very and I visited her in New York. Not so much the technique, but the approach. She got me to be more patient, more careful, not so wild as when you play a Beethoven concerto. I was always doing the same attitude. But of course, with Jamin, I learned because he gave me exercises for the thumb. I don't know how to do, where is it? So he told me to put it inside and do exercises like this. And I did, that changed my harp playing technical because it was more even. And so that was a real big help. And we worked very much. And when I visited him again in almost 10 years later, and he was wonderful old man, he was 91 when I visited him last time. And he said, sit down, play the Handel. And sit down and play the Debussy. No, I can't. I'm on vacation. I'm just visiting you. But I played the opening of the Debussy. Aha, that's what I meant. And your thumb is fantastic. Like, how can he remember? So, yeah, this very good. And I mean, Zabaleta, I just met. I didn't take a lesson because he couldn't. But he, I played a little for him, and then he said, you can do exercises. Well, he gave me yoga exercises, which have followed me all my life. Grand Genie, I played for him his variations and then the Handel. And he gave me some tempo restrictions and not very much. He was also already sitting in a wheelchair. But it was very beautiful hands, beautiful, wonderful person. I've been really lucky. I don't know who else I told. Germain, Zabaleta, Suzanne MacDonald. So it's a lot. Yeah.
It's really.
Maybe I have some story. Maybe I put some marks here. And I forgot to look at them.
Yes, so, if you have any memories, particular memories on some stories with some of them or with anybody, it will be really interesting to bring them out.
Is there anything more you want to know? Because maybe we should stop it now. And
absolutely not. If you are not in a hurry, we are very happy to have you at our interview. And just you can really talk whatever it comes to your mind. I would really maybe like to know as you were, and maybe you are still involved in the Focus on News.
No, not because I went out of the board of directors in Vancouver, and I didn't go to Sydney, and then I think I fall out. And now they have a new generation, so that's okay. But I miss it.
But maybe you can. I'm sure that you miss it because it's really you are part of this family, and you are really you were dedicated so much to that. Maybe you can bring us a little bit into under the informations how everything this works out with because it's not easy when some people apply for playing at the Focus on News. It's not automatic that they will be selected. It's a really big procedure. No. So if you can just
bring. I've not been in that process. That was Daphne Boden who did this. She got like hundreds of applications, and then she had to pick out like 6 a day or 7 a day or 8 a day. And so it was really difficult to say no to some. But that's also the same with the competition. The US International Harp Competition is also very difficult to decide who is going to be there. And it was also very difficult with the composers. The competition for the harp competition. Well, you had Sonja and Inglefield.
Yes, of course.
I saw that. And I was in that committee. I mean, you start with over 100 scores, and I was then in the jury for the 46, and then you have to go and vote down and down and down. So I was listening and listening and listening over and over again, all this new music. And it took like all day for several weeks. You were only working with that. So they are doing a fantastic job. Oh, you should have seen all this new music that is coming in.
I was lucky to be in the jury of this new music competition as well. So I absolutely know.
So you know how.
Absolutely, I know, and it's really exciting. It's exciting to hear all these new compositions, and it's, as you said, plenty of hours to listen. But it's really absolutely interesting, and so wonderful to see how many new wonderful pieces are bringing to the life. Yeah,
and also not all the pieces are beautiful. So some pieces are absolutely unplayable, and then it's easy, and some are very boring and stand still. So, but most of them are good because today they work together with harpists.
Yes.
And I think that's how we keep going.
Absolutely.
I don't know if I wrote something. I have only like this. A small note with the teachers.
You can tell us, Willy, when you were talking about Vera Dulova, that you were good friends. Maybe you were in contact very often. So maybe you can say also about her past, how she was like growing up. As you said, that her mother did not allow her to have children. So maybe she had a very, very tough parents too.
She had a big sorrow inside that she couldn't have children because of her career. She was really very, very sorry about that. So, and I saw that when she played with my little girl, and so I remember it as like yesterday. But there's another thing. There's another lady I want to tell, Patrizia Tazzini. She gave a wonderful recital in Dublin.
Yeah.
I never forget that. And she also was in the Focus on Youth, in the board of directors, and then you don't hear anything. It's like when you are out of the board and out of the things and you don't come back, you are gone and you are not there anymore. It's like you are forgotten. So I see that some of the people who did a fantastic job are not there anymore. So
that's such a pity. I mean, you really dedicated so much, and I feel like you are part of it. You know, there are really people who belongs to this community so strongly that they are not forgotten. I must tell you, they are absolutely
no. But you feel that you can't do anymore. I want to do more. I want to be active, and then you withdraw instead of doing something. Because I always wrote letters and had suggestions, and of course it's natural that I didn't do this the last 2 years, but I'm trying to do it again. There is something else I want to mention, something practical, because on our last meeting of the board of directors in Vancouver, it was decided to go to Sydney and to Hong Kong. And then we had agreed, the board of directors had agreed that we should go to Holland again, because it's about time that it comes. FIA wished it back. Yes. So I think she wouldn't have liked that Holland was skipped once more. She wanted to have it back where it started. And also in Vancouver, we agreed that it should be in Holland after Hong Kong and after Dublin. No, after Hong Kong already. And now they have forgotten it. So
hopefully maybe that after next year, after Cardiff, they will.
Cardiff, and then it should be Russia.
Actually, I heard that it should be in Russia next time.
Yeah, well, I heard Isabel talk.
Yeah.
So she said it was.
So we'll hopefully someone who is in charge now can hear us now, or maybe listen later the interview, and they can maybe memorize this all, and after Russia that it will come back to Maastricht or to really Holland, anywhere. It was in Amsterdam already.
It started all in Maastricht.
Yeah, I know.
It started in Kweekhoven and then it went to Kerkrade. That is a difficult name, and then Maastricht. Yeah, well, I can pronounce it anyway because I'm born in Holland.
Oh, of course, of course. But it came to Holland once more, to Amsterdam. It was in 2008 in Amsterdam.
Yeah, it was in Amsterdam. And I remember it was wonderful with the 500 harps lining up, that committee, this Saskia and Annemiek IJzerman, they were arranging and making. That was such a good organization. They marked 500 harps in the hall, and you got a number and you had to sit there. And you tuned before you went in, And that was so well arranged. So we came in the Guinness Record Book. I was very impressed.
And have you been in charge as, even from now living in Norway, have you been in charge for organization in Amsterdam, or you were just helping?
No. I never knew any Dutch harpists because there were no harpists when I left. There were no harpists. I mean, I got a job in the Rotterdam Philharmonic after my teacher. And that was not because I was so good. It was there were no harpists. That was how it happened in the 60s.
Yeah.
But I learned to play the harp afterwards. So it's okay.
You know what brings me, because you are such an energetic and really full of life lady, and so many organization able in your spirits, and why you don't think about to organize something in Norway by yourself?
I was asked for that, and I have tried, and there was actually in Stavanger was a lot of money, oil money, etc. But they have no harps. So how can you? And the distances are huge. I mean, it's 600 kilometers to Oslo. You have the mountains in between. You cannot just drive. It's 900 kilometers to Bergen, and then it's 2 days drive to Stavanger. It's the distances are so far. Now they have probably like 30 harps in whole Norway. When I came, they had 2. We had no harp. So I was the first one buying a harp in Trondheim, and we bought several after that. But in Oslo now, the State Academy had one small harp when I started teaching. So I used my own private harps for teaching in Oslo. I put two pieces in there, and they were worn out. And I thought, oh, well, okay, everything for the future. I couldn't have done that job without the orchestra.
Yeah.
But I would have arranged a congress if we had harps, but we had no harps. And Trondheim would have been perfect. We have like a concert hall with several small halls and 2 hotels cross over who could, and they could even get money to arrange it from certain. I mean, Norway still has money for such things if you apply in time. So I have tried. I really have tried and written letters, but how to get the harps?
Maybe the companies would help, because
No, they wouldn't, because there are so few people, and they have to take the harps out of Norway. And to get harps into Norway is very expensive, because we are not in the European Union.
Yeah.
So you have to pay a lot of taxes and papers before you can take the harp in, and you have to get them out again. So if people are coming from other countries and they have to buy harps and take them with them, it's going to be very expensive.
I see.
That's the reason. So I've really tried.
Yeah.
So I gave up, because they asked me, can't you make one in Norway? And I could, but no harps. And then I think we require 40 harps, because it was also in Berlin. There should be one congress in Berlin. And we have been trying, and oh my God, what's her name? She took over after Susan.
Flora.
Yeah. Struck, yeah. And so she was promised a congress in Berlin, and then we didn't get it, and there were not enough harps, and then the locals were not good. So we have had several who have tried to make congresses and not succeeded.
But maybe you don't need to do the congress. Maybe you can just do your own, little but still feeling that organization for living harp, so that you have so many students who will certainly support you and help you, and you can really make your own festival, which will be really POSTMA festival. It will be really nice. You certainly have a lot of enthusiasm for this, so you certainly can do that.
I'm done with I have done what I should, and I've done a lot, and I counted all my solo concerts. By the way, you asked me for my color, blue. Yeah, you have blue, because I took.
Yes, that's what
I took some of my dresses down, because I have like 40 concert dresses in different colors, and I throw away 10, and then the rest I can't throw away. It's silk, everything. But I had like 101 concerts. Solo, I counted, and more than 2,500 with orchestra and chamber music, and so I've done my job, and now I want to play just for fun, but not
Right.
bad quality. So I tried practicing, and it is natural to stop it when it stops. And then students are welcome.
Indeed.
But
Yeah.
I don't want to travel.
I understand. But you are still active in teaching. And how do you solve the situation now with the teaching when we are all isolated? Are you teaching through the internet, or how do you do?
No, I wouldn't. I've done it before because I had a student in Shanghai who sent me CDs.
I see.
And that was easy to listen, but she won a prize afterwards. So it was very, very nice. But I will not teach on the internet. No. I didn't have students because last year I moved. So I have not taken any. And Sitzel has been a few times. So she played Jana Stera, and now she visited me, and she's coming. Yeah, often.
And you have wonderful memory. Can I ask you, do you remember when you were participating in Israel? Which year was it?
1970.
1970. So it was when Ian Rogia won. Or no,
he was 8th.
Chantal Mathieu.
No, he was 8th prize, and that
Chantal Mathieu won 70.
Later, 73, I think.
Yeah, but it was Chantal Mathieu, right? Who won 70.
Chantal won first prize. Yes.
Right, exactly. But do you remember?
On my harp.
Oh, how wonderful.
Because I brought my beautiful new 23 golden, and everyone wanted to play on it. So I let everyone play on it. And then suddenly one day I came into my room, and then one called McKay from New York had taken my harp apart and was changing the felt. I said, "What are you doing?" So without asking me. So he just changed the felt, and I didn't practice actually in Israel because I knew the repertoire, and so I played only technique every day and through the program, but not like panic practicing that everyone does. And so everyone was like practicing, and it's like panic. And I know it's not healthy when you are prepared, you know your program, you have to practice like 2 hours a day, very quiet, and you play it through your program, and then you do it.
Do you remember the program, or at least something from the program?
Well, the Eric Houding Sonata, the Sergio Natra, and the Violin Concerto, and no, I don't remember the whole program, like boing. Solfa, yeah, what I definitely didn't like was the Pièce en Sol Bach. Bach. I didn't like that. And then the Handel Harp Concerto. No, that was free choice. I played that. And Linka. Fantasy. No, the variations.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think.
But of course, the competition was also for 4 stages, as is usual.
Yeah, 4 stages. Yes.
Yeah, so the program was really large.
So I didn't do the last stage, because there was only the 3 prize winners, the first, second, and then it was a scandal because can I say that
Absolutely.
they didn't learn the whole concerto. So people had only played the first movement. So the participants who came on the first 8 prizes, and I was in the 7, they didn't study the second and the third movement. So when that should be a concept, there was a really big discussion. It was a kind of small scandal.
And it was which concerto? It was Violin Concerto.
Violin Concerto. So everybody played only the first movement because that was required in the repertoire, and it didn't say that you should play the whole concerto. So it was like, oh, do I have the whole thing? But that is a really embarrassing thing.
Yeah, I know that it is a problem that now in these days, because it has happened that the people were not expecting that they can pass up to the final, so that they have not prepared the final stage. So now in these days, I know, as from the jury, being a jury, that they have to really sign that they know the whole program, unless they are not able to participate at the competition.
Well, because it has happened several times, actually.
Yeah, indeed.
That I thought, we are not going through the next stage. We play only first and second, and then they don't know the rest. I have been witness to this.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, indeed.
In Bloomington. Yeah, because I followed all the competitions.
Yes.
Except last year. So it's I missed it. It was wonderful to go there.
You will certainly come
I
back.
also visited Susanne McDonald. She had a cottage in Swiss, so I took my students there also. When I think of it, oh my God, I've taken my students to Bloomington, to Geneva, to Paris, to Dublin, to Seattle, Tacoma, and Vancouver, and they were everywhere. So, but I think they learned a lot, and that's
Absolutely.
Again, focus on youth, young people, new compositions, meet, listen to the sound. You cannot hear the sound on the internet. I mean, nobody of us has played. I thought maybe I shall play a small piece, but the sound will be totally different. So I don't dare to without a good microphone.
If you want, we will be very happy.
No. I didn't tune today. So I have not touched the harp today. But I thought about why not. But it's, for me, the sound, there's no equipment, is not telling anything.
Absolutely.
And for me, the sound is the most important. That's why I don't want to teach on the internet. I mean, you can talk about fingers.
Exactly, yeah.
Technique, yeah.
But it's true.
Yeah. Now, is there anything more you want to know? I mean, I have so many stories, and
you can share them.
So many wonderful harpists who made me cry, and yeah.
You can please share anything what you really have in your mind, because of course I would love to have this kind of really your life path. You know, it's really
well. Maybe I will try to write a book.
You certainly should write a book.
I think we should stop now because I'm getting tired, and I think I should have written down something, but I didn't enough. So.
It's not necessary to write anything now for the interview.
I had one mark. It's the level of the harp playing has raised so enormous through all the congresses, and you know that.
Absolutely.
So from not knowing anything and playing Passacaglia Handel and Saint Fantasy, they have developed enormously. Now people are playing all the Russian pieces and all the Renier pieces and the difficult stuff like nothing. So it's impressive.
It's absolutely true.
But I want to tell, that I always practiced everything the students wanted to play. So when Cecil came from Vienna and says, I want to play the Spoor, and I said, I didn't play that, so I'm learning it first. So I learned it by heart, played it on concert, and then I gave it to her. And the same, she heard an Italian sonata, Mortari. And I said, okay, I'm going to play it. I played it on concert. I gave it to her. And this is how I've been working with students. First, I must know the problems. So I want to play the pieces they play. Of course, when they go to contemporary music and huge ensembles, and I had to give up with many students doing contemporary things, then I had to give up. So I feel that I wasn't a good enough teacher when I didn't do the things that I'm working on.
Willy, have you ever always played on the Lion and Hilly harps? As I can see that behind you is the Lion and Hilly.
Yeah, I have to. Yes, always Lion and Hilly. Yeah, and it's I fall in love with Lion and Hilly harps, and I think for me in the orchestra it has been the most balanced between discant and bass, and so when the Salvis are wonderful harps, but you hear the bass and then not the top, or very sharp in the top. So in the orchestra, I prefer that. And I have tried of course, the hornkachers, and my back is too long, so I get pain. So after 1 hour, I have to give up. So that's a reason. So but I make beautiful harps today.
And have you played in the orchestra alone? Was there only one harp, or have you had except your students who were coming?
I bought my own harp, and we bought a new one. And in '65 we bought a harp, and then it was 30 years, and then we bought a new one. And now they have bought a hornkacher to the one who came after me. So Ruth Potter is the harpist in the symphony now. So I played 46 years in the symphony in Trondheim. But I had leave of absence many times to go for solo tours. And like some years, but I had, the most I had was like 300 concerts in 1 year, like school concerts, 3 a day in 3 weeks, and carrying the harp in and out. You know how it is. You travel all the time. You are living in the plane, and you have a suitcase here and a suitcase there, and like you have several places to teach. So I guess like me, I had a suitcase in Trondheim, in Helsinki, in Oslo, and I was just renting away my apartment because I was never home. It's tiring.
It's tiring, but certainly it gives you a lot of treasure for your life. It gives you a lot, you know, because to be surrounded by all of what you have done in the orchestra as a teacher, as a soloist, it is so different ways of producing the harp and the art that it's really enriching the life. And I'm sure that you really gave all what you could have already, and it still is with you and for the future as well. So it's
I hope so. I hope. I feel that I came far, and I hope my students, they have found a way. All of them have jobs. So, and if I make someone happy, I can.
That's amazing. And Willy, what are your days now when you are at home? You said that you are practicing piano mostly, that you like now to come back to piano. And do you have a garden, or what is also behind if you have another hobby?
I have a huge school, 435 square foot and 4 floors. I made an apartment for myself. I have a huge room, 50 square, and 7 windows, and looking at the snow. It snows heavily. It's winter here. It's Christmas outside.
Now?
Yeah, it's awful. It's so much snow today. It's awful.
Unbelievable.
It has been snowing for 3 days.
And
we didn't have spring yet, so I can't see my garden. I did put 600 tulips in the ground in autumn.
Oh my! And
but mainly what I do is repairing an old house from 1904. It was a school, and it's a beautiful concert room. It sounds wonderful, so I love playing here. And the strange thing is, I rented this school in 1970, and I was here for 6 weeks before to prepare my Israel program for the competition. So I practiced in this same room, like it is 50 years ago. Isn't that amazing?
That's fantastic.
So I'm using a lot of money to repair everything. I really burned my bridges. Because I sold my house in Trondheim. I sold my cabin. Nowadays, it's coming a message. No,
it's in my. I'm sorry. Yeah, but it's really unbelievable what all you have done for the music world. So it's really. It's absolutely touching. I'm so sorry. It's coming now. The message is about tomorrow's interview, actually. So it's just coming with the tomorrow's guest who we will have tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah. So I want to thank you, Jana, for the invitation. And I wish you good luck, and take care of yourself, because you are working too hard. You know that.
It's big pleasure for me to do that, and really I'm so thankful, really, that you took your time for us today, and I'm really so thankful that you share all your stories. And please really write the book, because it will be so big, really present for all of us, and the treasure for the future. So we will be very happy if you can really collect all your memories.
I know some naughty stories too, so maybe. Thank you, Jana.
Thank you, and please
I would love to meet you again.
It was really wonderful to see you, and I hope to see you next year or anytime, and you sure will come. I'm so happy to see you again.
Take care, and bye-bye.
Bye, have a nice day, and stay safe. Thank you. I would like really very much to thank Willy for today's interview and her time, and it was really very big treasure to have her today. And I would like to invite you. Tomorrow is the May 14th, the day when I announced that it will be the last day. But as I also announced yesterday that I found extra recording, I will like to ask you to even add one more day to the May 15th as an extra day for of this worldwide online harp congress. So we will have tomorrow not our last interview. We will have one more interview on Friday.
I will try to be there because I have a lot of things going outside, and workers. And today they are not here, but they are usually working and rebuilding my house. So
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
So tomorrow we will. I'm so happy, really. Thank you very much. And tomorrow we will have Elżbieta Schmidt from I mean Polish harpist who is living in USA.
Well,
and
I know very well.
Yes, and she will talk. She will talk about Eleanor Fell, the pop harpist, who is going, of course, to play tomorrow as well after the
dear Eleanor. Yeah.
Yes.
We climbed the Masada together. Oh.
We miss her also. And now you will all hear the wonderful performance of WILLY POSTMA at the Third World Harp Congress in Vienna, plus other performers as well. And I wish you all a wonderful day, afternoon, evening, morning, however, wherever you are. I am looking forward to see you tomorrow. And WILLY, thank you very much again. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.